Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Make Space for More podcast, where we talk strategies for growing and scaling your business in a way that's authentic and aligned for you. I'm your host, Melissa Swink, and I just want to welcome you to the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to something that's going to help you find ways to make your business more enjoyable, easier to run. And that is a perfect lead into our conversation today. I am being joined by Jamie Smith. Jamie and I'm going to read her bio in a minute, but we originally got connected through Alex Brzezowski, who was on a couple of weeks ago. She's the founder of Be Organizing. She talked about her journey as an entrepreneur and the digital organizing services that she provides for her clients and all the organizational and team structure things that we dove into during that episode. So go ahead and check that out. But I'm just so grateful that she connected Jamie and I because while I focus on practical tips and tools and strategies for growing and scaling businesses, I don't often dive into some of the things that go a little bit lower below the surface. Things like what do we do when we're feeling burned out and stressed and overwhelmed? And it just can be really hard to achieve that next level of success that we desire when we have these internal things that are bogging us down. And so I invited Jamie to be on the show today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her, and then I will let her share a little bit more about the work that she does. And we're going to talk about best practices for how we can have more consistent energy, productivity, and really more joy in our day-to-day lives and businesses. So without further ado, I'm going to share a little bit more about Jamie, and then we're going to have her share a little bit more about her journey as an entrepreneur and dive into all the things. So Jamie G. Smith empowers industry leaders to rise above doubts and limitations and gain the competitive edge through next level authority, strategies, and powerful collaborations. I love powerful collaborations. As a renowned business and lifestyle elevation strategist, speaker, and content creator, Jamie is the founder of Lux Everyday. So Luxe, and it stands for Lead a Unique, Extraordinary Existence Every Day. Love this. Jamie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you coming and sharing all of your knowledge and expertise to help our audience beat some of the stress and burnout and things that keep us stuck and hold us back.
Well, I am so excited to be here, Melissa. Thank you for having me. We connected a few months ago and we just had this natural connection. I think because we work with a lot of this similar clientele.
Mhm.
We work with a lot, at least I work with a lot of high achieving women. And so, yeah, so I got started originally. I know that you had mentioned that. I've always worked with women, like whether it be when I was raising little kids, I was leading Bible studies and then I looked, I was like, I want a bigger circle of uplifting women. So I created my own organization called Women Inspired Together. And it was really around creating positive life events where we could socialize, but also up level together. And instead of women tearing one another down, it was really about boosting one another up and encouraging one another to be our best and our strongest and elevate within our gifts. And so that was such a fun time for me. I would do in-person events, all-day events, just specifically to support women and so that women could build one another. And eventually in 2019, I started Lux Every Day. Now, my intent at the time, Melissa, was really just to start, doing a membership and really launching, the idea of leading a unique, extraordinary existence every day into the world. And the funny thing is this is a really funny story. I had texted a friend of mine and I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm launching tomorrow. This is what it's about. She's like, I want you to coach me. I'm like, what? Wait, I wasn't even ready to coach at that point because I was really just trying to launch the business. And she's like, no, I want you to coach me. And she's like, I was just talking with God and like, I feel like you're supposed to coach me. And I'm like, I wasn't even ready to coach at that point because I really was just trying to launch my business. And the
Yes.
hilarious thing, this is a really funny thing. She was on medications because she had just had surgery and I caught her in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So it was a really, really funny story because the whole conversation was very uplifting because she had been on medications. But I ended up coaching her for several years. We ended up elevating her business, and she sent me so many referrals, and it was so much fun, and it's one of my natural things is elevation strategy. And so with high achieving women, what I found is many times they've achieved a lot in their business, but maybe other aspects of their life have fallen to the wayside or are not as high as they would like them to be, or they're trying to achieve a next level in their business and they need better tools, because when we go to a next level, need next level boundaries, next level
Mhm.
energy. We need next level concepts and ideas and ways to handle things. We need next level habits. And so even when you're going to a new level, and even if you've achieved so much,
Mhm.
sometimes you actually need a whole nother reset to achieve that with more ease and with more flow and more effortlessly, but also standing in your power. So I absolutely love coaching women and mentoring them.
I love that you shared that story of the evolution of your business and really how you got started with all of this, and how when you had reached out to your friend and she was like, "Wait, I want you to coach me." That just took things in a whole nother direction. But she knew that she needed coaching. She needed more than a membership. She needed that one-on-one
Mhm.
experience with you. And then I love how you just stepped up and like, okay, this is where I'm being led. This is where I'm being called. And so now, how many women have you coached? You might not even know after, however many years of being in business, but how many women have you coached throughout
Yeah,
the course of your
it's been
career?
hundreds, but I do a little bit of different. I do some group coaching, but I also do one-on-one. So it just depends
Sure.
on what they're needing. The group
Okay.
coaching is more collaborative, it's more mastermind kind of oriented, whereas the one-on-one is really a deep dive into their specific, like that VIP coaching where we really
Yeah.
specifically look at what are they needing? What are they desiring? And sometimes what they are desiring isn't even really what they need. Like we know
Mhm.
that, right?
Yes.
Sometimes they actually need a new level of eyes to see what the core of
Mhm.
the issue is so they can break through. That's one of the
Yes.
things I love helping women with so much, Melissa, is breaking through. Like, because we
Yes.
can't see our own shadows many times. We can't see the
Mhm.
barriers that are holding us back. And so we continue to self sabotage, or we have specific default patterns that actually keep pulling us back into where we used to be or into old habits. And when we break through those, it literally can change everything in an instant, which is one of the things that I
Mhm.
love.
Mhm. 100%. And, there's another coach that I follow, and she talks about blind spots where they're blind spots for a reason. We don't see them, or we have these double binds where we think, well, things have to be a certain way, or I have to be like this, but not too much like this, because otherwise it'll be like that. And we just have these stories that we've made
Mm,
up, or we just create these impossible standards and they work against us, and we're just so close to obviously our own lives, our businesses, and you need that external trusted source to
yes.
help kind of shed a light on some of these things so that we can break free.
100%. And there's a couple things you said there. First of all, a trusted source. So it's so important. And I say this with high achieving women, especially because they don't typically, they're the leader. They're the owner of the business. They may be the
Mhm.
industry leader. And they don't usually, if you're in that place, you usually don't have very many people to speak with, right? You don't have,
Mhm.
you're the one that's looked up to. And so like you feel all the pressure to hold everybody together, to make sure
Mhm.
everything happens, and yet not to be human, like not to be the person that has messy stuff going on, or has some part of their life out of control, or doesn't quite know what to do.
Mhm.
Like you can't share that with most people because you're considered to be the one they look up to. And so a lot of
Sure.
times this safe space provides such an amazing place for women that are
Mhm.
high achievers that maybe don't have that anywhere else, with somebody that understands what they're going through, with somebody that understands the pressures that they feel, that somebody that understands,
Mhm.
what are some of the aspects that we go through as women. And a lot of it is holding ourselves back. It's that shame, blame, doubt. It's being too much, being not enough, that imposter syndrome. It's all the things. It's fear of failure. That's such a huge one. And
Mhm.
so it's all of these things that we can't speak many times because we don't feel like we have the freedom. They don't feel like they have the freedom. And so when I can hold that space for them and also do so with loving accountability, they can change
Yes.
so much in their life, right? And they have this ability to become an entirely new version of themselves. I call it their destiny identity, because these women are stepping into their destiny, and they before were dimming their light and holding back because of the limiting stories, the limiting beliefs. And now they can actually shine their light bright, which helps everybody be able to understand that they can too rise and shine their light. And so it's so fun to watch this occur, and just to watch the unfolding of these women.
I want to revisit and maybe explore a little bit more the way that high achieving women like ourselves, I mean, certainly can identify with that myself, and certainly you can, right? We are our best clients sometimes, where we struggle with the same things, and, we can help others with those. Why do we hold ourselves back? Or what would you say, with all the women that you've coached throughout your career, what are some of the big ones? Or if you could say like the top 5 reasons that we hold ourselves back, what are those? I'm just curious, because it sounds so oversimplified, but yet it's something that we just keep coming up to, every time we try to
Yeah,
elevate to the next level.
that's such a great question, because it truly is from our past. It's things that have transpired, trauma experiences we've had, and they shape us, and our subconscious wants to protect us. So it starts to limit how we play in this world. And the funny thing is, and I turned 50 back in 2 years ago, whenever it was, whatever that was.
Who's counting?
Yeah,
Yep.
I turned 50,
A
and
couple years ago.
I at 50 years old, as a high achieving woman, realized I was still holding myself back. Like, and the funny thing is, as a high achiever, you can be achieving so many things. You can be a multimillionaire, but that doesn't mean, like, I would say 95% of women are still dimming their light in some way and holding themselves back. And I realized this, and it's because I wanted to slide under the radar and not draw too much attention to myself. Because when I was younger, that brought on judgment, that brought on being attacked, right? And so many girls can attest to this, and you're afraid to fail so that you don't get judged, because you're now in the spotlight, right? So we don't want to play too big, and we don't want to like do something that we're not sure how it's going to turn out, because then we fail, and then people see, and then we're judged, and then the whole cycle, right? And so all of these things play into why we hold back. And even when we feel like we're not, if you really take a look at your life, I can guarantee almost at some level, you are holding a piece of yourself back. You are not playing at the biggest, boldest, most beautiful version of yourself. And it's because of things that have happened to you in the past. And it's a protective mechanism. Sometimes you don't even understand that this is there, because it's how you've learned to operate in the world successfully. Just like I was achieving, right? But I was also I knew I had learned to slide under the radar just enough so that I didn't rock the boat too much. I didn't draw too much attention. I didn't make somebody else feel less than. And so often we are afraid of making somebody else feel less than. And I had to learn, and this was a definite learning moment for me, Melissa. I had to learn that by holding back, I'm holding them back. And this is why, because if I'm making somebody feel less than because I'm rising up, and I'm not talking about because I was disrespectful or right, but if I'm rising into my level of where I know I can operate, and somebody else feels less than, it's really about their journey. I'm no longer responsible for their journey. Sure. And I'm not responsible for what they decide to do. And I may be attacked by that, because sometimes that they may feel insecure about it, but that's not for me to be responsible for. And so when they feel like that, they can either do two things. They can rise with me and choose to do it, or, maybe they're not ready. And if they're not ready, then I can't do anything about that. And I'm holding myself back until they're ready. Well, they may never be ready. And what's beautiful is when other women rise, I like to say it this way: free women, free women.
Yes.
When we become free, we free other women to become free. And
Hmm.
it's such a beautiful, powerful thing, but we have to embrace it and we have to give grace to women.
Hmm.
They're not going to be perfect while they rise. I'm just going to tell you, things happen. It gets a little messy sometimes because we're doing new things that we don't know, that we may not
You mean we
understand.
have to be willing to be vulnerable and make mistakes?
Yes, 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 and yes, please. Like make as many mistakes as you can.
Especially like when our team is watching and,
Yep,
our families are watching
yep,
or, our parents are watching. Like, I'm just thinking of, certainly things about our past experiences or past failures or, painful things that we've experienced certainly cause us to hold ourselves back. But then I think you touched on it as well. Um, is, there's also other people in our lives that sometimes we start playing smaller to fit into maybe
yep.
a box that they have kind of put us in, or we don't want somebody to feel inferior because we love them dearly and we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to step on their toes. But, I think that that's a huge part of, learning how to succeed and also be okay with others not necessarily joining you on that journey, because to your point, it might not be their time, it might not be their space.
Yeah, and you honestly, you can't do anything about their journey, right? Like you can
Mhm.
give them the space and the freedom to rise. The choice that is theirs.
Mhm.
And you are given these gifts for a reason. And I always talk about this because it's as if you were like a parent of a child and you know exactly like the most beautiful gift that they would want, right? And so you give
Mhm.
it to them for Christmas and it's like exactly what they want. It fills them full of life and laughter and fulfillment, and you give it to them and they open it up and they're like and they're so excited, right? And then they close it back up and then they go hide it in their closet because they're afraid to either that it'll get broken. They're afraid
Mhm.
somebody will steal it. They're afraid somebody else will want it and feel bad that they don't have one. And that's what we do
Yes.
with our gifts is we hide them in the closet and then we'll just open up once in a while. Whereas we have these beautiful, magnificent things that we were given from personally, I'm a God girl. I don't know if you
Mhm.
however you view your
Mhm.
relationship with a bigger being, but like you were given these gifts and to hide them,
Mhm.
it's our responsibility to share them. I'll say it that way. It's our
Mhm.
responsibility to share them, to enjoy them fully, and to see like what is the edge of that gift? How can I tap into more of that gift so that the world is a different place because of you?
Mhm. Mhm. So when we're talking about the things that hold us back, and namely it's ourselves, really, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
that hold us back for a variety of things, some more internal, some more external. When we start looking at, how do we overcome holding ourselves back? Or, I know this is really where you shine, is what are some of the best practices that we can incorporate into our day-to-day life so that we have more consistent energy, we are more productive, we feel more fulfilled in the work that we're doing, where we're not so stressed and burned out. Like, how do we beat all of this, or what do we do about all of this, really is the golden question. We know
Yeah.
that
Well,
everyone has it to some degree.
well, and that's so true. And I love that question because and you may or may not like the answer if you're listening, but the truth is, if you really want to go big and you really want to walk into your next level identity, and again, especially your destiny identity, that thing that you're created purposely for, you're going to have to change everything. And that means your environment, that means the people, that means your habits, that
Mhm.
means your energy, that means the things you listen to, the things you read. Like all of that is going to contribute to or take away from your ability to rise
Mhm.
easily and quickly or not at all. Like it's
Mhm.
these are all choices. And some people will choose to go with you, but some people won't. And you have to be okay with that. And
Mhm.
then the same thing is like some of your habits. For example, we spoke a little bit about energy management. I feel so strongly about energy management because your energy is what gives you the capacity to do more. If you have limited energy and you're letting other things steal your energy, Melissa, you don't
Mhm.
have the capacity to do what you
Mhm.
really desire to do and were built to do. And I
Mhm.
always say it
Mhm.
like this, like, for example, because capacity and energy management is many different things that affect both of those, right?
Mhm.
But I say it like this. So, for example, if you're not watching, I have a hand above my head and a hand at my chin. And say the hand above my head is your potential. The hand below my chin is your energy, your capacity,
Mhm.
right? Your potential, like if your energy, and I call this the energy gap. If your
Mhm.
energy is down here by your chin, and this is all you are able to do right now, your
Mhm.
potential has to come down to meet your energy. It can't
Mm.
do anything more because your vessel is
Mhm.
what takes you or enables you to do all the things you need to do. And then if your potential is back up your head and you raise your energy, you raise your capacity, which means your habits, your physical habits, your mental habits, all of those things, your environmental habits, you raise your capacity. Now your potential can raise as high as your vessel goes, right? That
Mhm.
we take out those mind blocks. We create good physical habits that gives us the physical energy. We eliminate environmental things that actually drain us of energy, and now we have the potential to really step into your new identity. But we have to clear out that space and really put a big focus on that, because that is what is going to help you get there with more ease, with more effortlessness, with more power.
Mhm. Mhm. I think this goes perfectly full circle to what you started talking about is what got you to this point is not going to get you to the next level. Now, certainly consistency is part of that, being consistent and intentional about where you're headed. But you're right, the same team might not get you as grateful as you are of, where they got you to today, might not be the same team that's going to get you to the next level here. And there's just so many things. It's about sounds like it's also becoming okay with letting go
Hmm.
and making room for new and really paying attention to what is just no longer aligned with this next level.
Oh, 100%. And I love that you brought up team, because I know you support teams, and
Mhm.
I want to circle back to this, because one of the biggest things you can do is find a team to support you, the right team, right?
Mhm.
Because also when you go to the next level, you want to do things more efficiently.
Yes.
Because again, you aren't the one that should be doing all of these things. If you're
Mhm.
going to the next level, you need support that is next level support. And that's why I just want to say this. I love what you do, because it is crucial for any high achiever to start
Mhm.
to look for a team that can support them like you do, because
Mhm.
that they're not supposed to be doing all those other things. They're supposed
Mhm.
to be doing what their magic is. Like, they're supposed to be adding their biggest essence and impact in the world, and they can't do that by trying to do all of the other meniscus, things
Yes.
around them. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yes, 100%. And I talk about this every day, and it's been on so many episodes of this podcast is ultimately the how you spend your time determines your results.
Hmm.
If we're spending our days putting out fires and responding to emails and just doing, the little busy work in our businesses, yeah, sometimes it feels good to check those simple boxes, but are we really getting to that next level? Are we really doing the things that are going to get us those higher end clients or to, develop that next level course? Or create that product that's going to solve so many of the issues that our clients are dealing with. There's just you have so many resources and you only have 24 hours in a day. How are you spending them? And so team is a huge part of that. We need to make sure that we're in our zones of genius in doing the work that we're meant to do and continue to trust and bring on people who can help us with everything else.
100%. And I want to speak to two things that you said there. The first one is letting go. Let's go there. So
Mhm.
letting go, you have to begin to let go of so many things, because again, to go to the next level, you may have to let go of looking at social media all the time, right? As your
Mhm.
as your as your so many people at night or whenever they're, bored, or if they have a second,
Mhm.
they scroll social media. Well, what happens on social media is, what you don't realize is you're actually like dwindling down your ability to make decisions, because on social media you're constantly, your mind is having to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 no, and it's
Yes.
constantly making choices and decisions. Well, those decisions and choices are really needed for your business, they're needed for your kids, they're needed for all of these things. And when you exhaust your ability, because there's a
Mhm.
limited capacity every day as far as
Mhm.
your ability to make decisions, and
Yes, I
especially
was just going to say decision fatigue is
it
real.
is.
And it's something that when I start experiencing decision fatigue, I know that it is time that I need to let go of some of those decisions and bring in somebody else to
Mm,
handle
that's
that
good.
aspect of a project or that aspect of the business because I can only handle so much.
It is. And so that's why, like, even letting go some of your bad habits, like social media, and it doesn't mean that social media is bad, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying maybe be conscious of how often you're on social media. And like for me, I
Mhm.
get on there with a purpose and then I jump off. I don't usually scroll for a long time because I understand that that not only wastes my time, but it also
Mhm.
takes my decision fatigue up a notch. But also then, like, let's talk about like letting go of, other habits that are not serving you any longer. Maybe they did before, but maybe they're
Mhm.
no longer serving you. Letting go of people, letting go of
Mhm.
self-sabotaging behaviors, but also, and this is the one I wanted to point out, control.
Yes.
Letting go of control. And this has to do with even working with your team, but in general, one of the
Mhm.
biggest things I see, and I know because I experienced it and understand now how much it helps, that when we learn as high achievers to let go of control
Mhm.
and understand that we can only control certain things. We can't
Right.
control the outcome. We can't control, any of those
Mhm.
things that we can't control other people. We can't control, like, right? And
Mhm.
part of that fatigue also is that need for control and wanting to know
Mhm.
the outcome and all of the things. Well, the truth is you will never, like, look at COVID. Could we have
Yes.
ever in a million years said the globe was going to shut down the next day? No.
No.
And could we have
No.
done anything about it? No. And
Mm-mm.
that's just such a really crucial, even perspective of learning. The more freedom you desire will it be completely correlated to the more control you let go of.
Yes.
So the more you can let go of that control,
Yes.
allow
The
other
word
people to help.
surrender is coming to mind. Like
That's a good
I
one.
can only control, you know, my own decisions. Like I can only leverage the information and the understanding I have right now to make the best decisions that I can. I can be consistent with my daily practices and habits, but at the end of the day, I can't control the outcome. I can't control other people.
Right.
I can't control, the world around me. And so it's about that. I think I like the word surrender. It's just
Mm.
I'm doing everything that I can. I'm doing the best that I can. And I have to let go and detach almost from, ultimately the outcome. And you just learn and you come back the next day and you keep just recalibrating and doing the best that you can.
Well, and that's so important because I know that you see this with your clients too, Melissa, is
Mhm.
when you're trying to control everything, all that happens is you get overwhelmed, you get
Yes.
stressed, you have
Mhm.
anxiety, and
Mhm.
it's not necessary. It truly
Mhm.
isn't, because when you step back and understand, I can't
Mhm.
control those things. Now I can
Mhm.
control my actions, I can control my behaviors, I can control my mindset, right?
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
control how I react to the situation. But what I
Yes.
can't do is control other people. I
Mhm.
can't control environments. I can't control, but I can put myself in a power position by doing what I know I can do. And I can even prepare
Mhm.
for that. Like, for
Mhm.
example, when we talk about energy management, this was a big thing for me because I'm an introvert, but I'm in extroverted situations all the time. Like, I speak on
Yes.
stage, I go to big events, I run events, and
Mhm.
and so I'm an introvert. And so I had to learn, and also I have Hashimoto's, so I have an autoimmune disease. So I had to learn, how can I manage that those situations and stay on top? How can I
Mhm.
show up as the best, fullest version of me? How can I um how can I not deplete myself and
Mhm.
not get completely burned out? And I had to learn to manage my energy to
Yes.
be able to optimize my energy versus so if we don't control our energy controls us.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when I learn to manage it, that means I can have strategies before, during, after. For example, if I did speak at an event,
Mhm.
I already know and I go in with, okay, I know I'm going to need these things to help me show up in my fullest version of who I am. So I need to set boundaries
Mhm.
around these things. I need to do certain practices. I need to have less stimulation. I have
Yes.
to make sure that I have like a room by myself so that I can decompress. I can really, right? There's certain things
Mhm.
I've learned just for myself that help
Yes.
contribute to me showing up my fullest. But then in the middle of the event, or say in the middle of a big debate, like maybe you're in a meeting and you
Mhm.
have this big negotiation going on, right? That's stressful too. So in
Mhm.
the middle of something, how do you control it? How do you reset in the
Mhm.
middle of it if you can't leave the situation, right? So
Right.
learning those strategies as well. And then after, because after the event, after the big thing, if your central nervous system is taxed, like
Mhm.
you're not going to be any good to anybody. So you still need to show up as that
Yes.
leader, but that means that you might have to take a day off. That means you might have to go do
Mhm.
something else that fills you back up. That means you may have to completely rest and not do any email. So it's
Mhm.
really having those strategies, Melissa, that can empower high
Mhm.
achievers to really perform at a whole
Mhm.
nother, I mean, like a whole nother level.
Well, Jamie, this has all been very, very interesting and great reminders. Really, it's things that, if you're listening, you're like, I've heard that before, or yeah, I've heard about, holding myself back or blind spots or, talking about stress and burnout. But these things are real
Mm.
and they impact us every day. And Jamie, you have a very special gift for our audience to help them beat some of these things. And then I know you have a very exciting announcement as well for something new that's coming up.
I do. Oh, I'm so excited. Like I said, I work with a lot of high achievers. So I have a really amazing PDF that will help you. It's really what top tier achievers use. It's some of their best practices for a morning practice. And so if you would like to grab that for free, I promise it will be amazing. There's some really great reflections on there for you to do every single morning to really set your morning out like so it's ready to go, so you're ready at the highest level. And so if you'd like to take a look at that, I would be happy to send that to you. Just go to luxe everyday.com/edge edge. So luxeveryday.com/edge. It's because that will help to give you that edge every morning, and so you can opt into that. And then with that as well is we talked about this a little bit. I'm going to be doing an energy management masterclass.
Tell us
Now,
more about this because I feel like having that consistent energy is everything. Like, I feel like some days I'm on top of my game and I'm very productive and I'm in, I'll say a good mood. Like, things are just in flow. And then there's other days where it just like everything just feels so hard. Like,
yeah,
I really have to psych myself up to get my work done. I really have to focus more intentionally when I'm having a conversation with a team member or client. Like, how do we have more consistent energy?
yeah, I call it like the energy spectrum because
Mhm.
as spectrum, like when we go up and down, that's just exhausting, right?
Mhm.
And that's because we're not being consistent with our strategies. And there's really high level strategies that I teach. I break them down into different categories so that you can actually assess each one for yourself. Because
Okay.
one category you might be crushing it on, but then the other categories, maybe you didn't even realize. Like, again, those blind
Mhm.
spots, you didn't even realize that it was happening or that it affects you so much. So we go through these different categories so that you can truly assess your
Mhm.
own life and then
Mhm.
make the strategies to improve it, to have that consistency. But not only the consistency, it provides you so much power and so
Mhm.
much,
Mhm.
much more of an elevated essence that you get to do now. Like you feel
Mhm.
better, you are more creative, you're more productive, you're more motivated, you are less reactive. Now, can I just say, as a boss, as a industry leader, it's really good to be less reactive.
Yes. Yes,
And it also provides
absolutely.
less stress, less overwhelm. So when you put these strategies in place,
Mhm,
now you can actually accelerate your life so much faster with so
mhm,
much more ease. And you
mhm,
can
mhm.
alleviate the stress and the anxiety to a minimum because now you're aware of it. You are
Yes,
now you're like proactive with it versus reactive with it. So
yes.
yeah, if you would like to come to the masterclass, I'll be sharing some really amazing strategies for top tier producers, top tier industry leaders,
Mhm.
and it'll be towards the end of October. So if you're listening to this, love to have you along. And if you opt into the Edge that I just said, luxeveryday.com back or
Mhm.
/edge, you can also hear, I'll also be sending out information about the upcoming masterclass so you won't miss anything.
Well, wonderful. Jamie, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. These are all really great reminders for us to just really tune into who we are and what we need in order to be that next level leader that we're meant to be and achieve the things that we want to be. And I'm just so grateful for you and the knowledge that you've shared, but then also, of course, the work that you do in this world because I feel like coaching in my life has made a huge difference in not only in my business, but in other areas that I've received coaching on, like in terms of health and relationships and things like that. And it's so beneficial to have somebody in our corner as high achieving women who can help us see solutions to the things that we're struggling with in a more intimate um, way of being able to really help shed that light and be that source that we talked about, that trusted source for that information. So just wanted to honor you. Thank you for everything that you've shared today. Want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in today. I know that you are out there growing your business beyond you. And part of that is fueling your own energy and your presence in the way that you're showing up in the world. So I hope that this information was helpful for you today. If you know another business owner who gets stressed out from time to time or struggles with maintaining their energy, would you please share this episode with them because there might be an aha that they received, or it might trigger them to say, oh, you know what? I actually haven't been, say, taking time after the end of a busy day to just decompress and just be, and I am an introvert and I am burning the candle at both ends and I need to recharge. Just little things that can remind us, like, oh, I haven't been good about doing that. And this is a great reminder. So, please consider sharing this information with them. And I will be back next week with more tips and tools and strategies for growing and scaling your business beyond you. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. We'll be back next week. Bye bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Make Space for More. We know these insights are valuable, and we hope you are inspired to keep growing your business beyond you. Remember, growth is a journey, and you don't have to go it alone. Until next time, keep automating, delegating, and elevating your business. This is Melissa Swink, and I'll see you on the next episode of Make Space for More.